Okay, in this video I'm going to make two JavaScript files. One of them is going to be a click counter where you click your mouse button and it counts the amount of clicks. And then the second video is going to be one where you click your mouse button and it changes the background of the screen. Okay, so two simple JavaScript files are a good beginning point. If you're learning JavaScript, they're a really good starting point. The click counter game, or the click counter version, we're going to expand out into a full game in the next video. So if you want to see one of those how many clicks counts whatever happens, one of those games that the kids play online or students play online, we're going to make one of those next. But for this video, just two simple files. Right, to start with, I'm just going to go to brackets. I'm going to go new, and I'm going to call this click counter. So I'm going to go file, save as. I'm going to make sure that I save it to the desktop, and I call it click counter.html. Remember, you must put the extension on there. Click counter HTML. Now I'm going to go doc type HTML. Okay, so we know that it's an HTML document. HTML. Okay, let's put in our head and our body. And let's put in up here, let's put in a title. And we'll call this JavaScript click count. Okay, so we're just going to call it JavaScript click count. And here's our body, and we're going to get started here. Now, to start this, we're going to have some things in HTML to start with, right? So we might as well start with a heading, and this is just going to say click counter. Let's call it click counter game, right? Because we're just counting clicks. It's ridiculous, but click counter game. Now, what we want to do is we want to have somewhere that shows us how many clicks that we're actually going to have. So every time the user clicks on a button and has a certain amount of clicks, we want to show those clicks, right? So let's start with a paragraph, and let's give this paragraph the word clicks, colon, right? So it's going to have clicks in there. And let's better give this an ID, right? So let's say this span, this section has an ID, and we'll call this ID count. Right, and at the moment we want this ID to have a count of, well, we want it to have a count of 0, and then we can close that span. It's already got it in there, /span. Right, so essentially what this does is this prints out on the screen the word clicks, and then it has the amount which is currently 0, which has an ID of count, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to update this ID of count over and over again every time that there's a click, right? So that's the first idea. We're going to have a little paragraph on the screen that has the word clicks and it says 0. Now we're going to have the button that the user actually clicks on, right? So we're going to have a button, and we better put what happens there. So on a click, we want something to happen. We want it to run a function. Now the function we're going to create is going to be called add click. Okay, so in fact it's a function, so let's not have gaps in it, and let's have two brackets at the end. Okay, so when the user actually clicks the button, it runs this function, which is on click, and it says go and run this function. The name of our function is called add click, right? And then we better write, okay, let's say click me. Okay, so the user knows where to actually click, and that's our button done. So we're going to have our output here. We've got our input here, which is going to be our click button. Now we actually need to make this function called add clicks, which actually does the work, which really is the script, right? So let's start with a script tag. Okay, so this is our script section in here, our JavaScript section in here. And we better start off with a variable called clicks, and we better make sure that that equals 0. So there's our first section that we're going to do. We're going to say clicks equals 0. So our current variable, our current clicks equals 0. Now let's do our function, which we said was called, I'm just going to copy and paste it from there so I know it's exactly the same. And this is really similar to Python. The concept of a function and how it runs and everything is really similar to Python, right? So here's our function. This is how we write a function in JavaScript. You write the word function, you write what it's going to be called, then in the curly brackets, in the parentheses, that tells you what's going to happen in here, right? So if this button is clicked, we want something to happen in here. Now, essentially, we've got this variable called clicked. So we want to make this click equal click plus 1. We want it to increment, right? So we're going to say clicks equals clicks plus 1. So we're just incrementing this clicks variable. It's going up by 1 each time. Now we need to show that that's going up by 1 each time, or show what that currently that clicks is. So we're going to go to the document and we are going to find the current count, right? So let's go to get element by ID. So I'm going to just click up here. Okay, so I've clicked get element by ID, and the ID that I'm looking for is going to be the one up here, which is count. All right, so I'm looking for count, and I want to change what the content is of that. I want it to change from whatever the current count is, which is 0. I actually want it to change to whatever clicks equals to, right? So I want it to equal the variable. So I'm going to say text content equals the variable clicks. Okay, so at the moment, our clicks equals 0, and it's got an ID of count. We've also got every time you click the button, go and run this function. We've got clicks, which equals 0 as our variable to start with. Then when the function is run, clicks equals clicks plus 1, so that means that's going to increment by 1 every time someone clicks. And then we're saying go to the document, find where the current count is, and replace the text content with the variable, with what's in the variable, right? So that's it. That's basically our entire program. Really, really simple click counter. Now, like I said at the start of the video, we're going to expand this out into a full game where you click on a cookie or an item and count how many times that happens. But this is the program so far. So let's save that. Let's go File, Save. And then I'm going to run that program. I'm just going to go double click on it on my desktop. And here it is here. Here's my program. You can see clickcounter.html. It says click counter game. It currently has 0 clicks. And if I click it, it increments by 1. So that's it. So one of those silly games where how many clicks can I do? How many clicks can I do? And as we make the game in a minute in the next video, what we'll do is we'll put a timer on it and see how many clicks you can do within a minute. And then we'll make it, I don't know, an image. You've played the one online where it's a cookie. We have it where we're clicking something and seeing how many times we can click that within a minute. We'll expand that game shortly. But to start with, this is a very, very simple JavaScript program that has a click element, has an input, a click element as the input. It has an output, which is the count, and it has a function in here. So that's the end of the first file. Right, let's go and make the second file. Now the second file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a file that changes the background color of a web page. All right, so I might as well just start from start again, because I think starting from scratch shows you exactly how I do things. I'm just going to do a save as. I'm going to save it to the desktop, and I'm going to call it color.html. Right, so I'm just calling it color.html because you can call it color change, you can call it whatever you like. But I'm going to call it color. Okay, there's my doc type, HTML. Then I'm going to do the same thing, HTML. And then I'm going to do head. Then I'm going to do body. Inside the body, I know actually I could even put in script, because I told you we're going to be doing JavaScript. We're going to put a heading in here. Okay, I'll leave that. I'm going to put a title in here. So you can see, you can actually set this structure out, and you can actually set up your program so that this is already there. I just like to type it to show you guys how the tags work each time, right? So let's call this one color change. Color changer. That's all I'm going to put in my head. In here, I'm going to put in the instructions for the user. Click the button to change the color. Right, so there's my heading. Click the button to change the color. Now let's go through and let's think about how we're going to do this. The first thing we're going to need is we're going to need a button, right? So we're going to need a button so that they've got something to click, right? So let's put button, and let's put the same command that we used in the last little program, on click, and we'll call this function change color. Oops. So that's it. You can name your function whatever you like. I'm naming it change color. And if I put the inverted commas in the right spot, that would be better. Good. Now we better tell the user that that's what that button is. So let's put in here change color. So that button is now complete. So we've got a button here. On the click, it's going to run the function change color, and the button has the words change color on it, right, on top of the button. So that's it. That's simple. Now let's go and write the script. Let's start off with the function, because we talked about the function. Okay, the function name, I'm just going to copy and paste that function name there like I always do. Command C, Command V, that way I know that it's exactly right. I'm going to put in my curly brackets and put my function in here that's going to happen. Now, let's start off with creating an array, right? So I'm going to create an array, and inside that array I'm going to put in maybe 6 colors, right? So let's go let colors, right? So it's going to be the name of my array is going to be colors. And same as in Python, I do square brackets, I do inverted commas, and I separate them with a comma, okay? So I want to do 6, so I'm just going to copy that, and it's going to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Delete that last comma. Let's go through and put my colors in here. Now you want to use colors that are going to be web colors that are going to be recognized, right? You can't just put in light pink with a green tinge or something. They have to be words that are going to be recognized for the purpose of this, right? So web colors is really easy. You could probably use hexadecimal colors in here too. They probably would work as well. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to use plain English colors that I know work. Right. So I've got in there 6 colours, red, blue, green, yellow, purple, orange, and they're my colours that I've put into this variable called colours, which is a one-dimensional array, right? Okay, now let's go through and see how we're going to do random. Now in Python, we would do randint, random integer, and we could work out a random integer and then assign one number for each of these, or one index position for each of these. Well, in JavaScript, it's really similar, right? So I'm going to make a new variable here, and I'm going to call it random number. All right, so there's my new variable called random number. And random number, we're going to use a thing called math. What's funny about that? Floor in brackets, and we're going to put math.random, close the brackets, multiplied by, where's my multiplied by? Multiplied by COLOURS.LENGTH. Close my bracket, semicolon, and that honestly is the main section of the math of the random, and I'll explain that in just a second. Okay. Let's create let's just explain that first. Right, so we're creating a variable here called random number. We're using a library that's built into JavaScript already, and we're saying get a random number, but only get the random number between the length of the actual colors array. So my colors array is 6 characters long, so the random number can only be up to 6, right? Now in Python, you might do something like 1 to 7, something like that, to show the gap of your random number. In here, you're saying go up to the length of the colors, right? So go up to the length of 6 different colors in this array. So that's where the random number is going to be from. Right, now let's go let selected color equal to the colors array. And in fact, let's do it exactly like we would do in Python. The index number can be the random number. Okay, so because we've created a random number in here, right? So this variable here is a random number. That random number can then become the number or the location in our array. That's going to be a number between 0 and 6, right? So, and including 6. So therefore, that number can actually become the index location. Remember, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 0 and 6, between 0 and 6, yeah. So that becomes our selected color will be whatever that position is in the index. Now all we have to do is change the background. So we say go to the document, look at the body of the document, look at the style of the document, and change the background color. Notice color is spelt the US way, and make it our selected color. And that's a variable, so it can be spelt however it likes, right? Okay, now I better explain this one. This section here, document, says go to our whole document. And then these sections here are actually the same as doing CSS. It's the same as doing the styling for CSS. It's saying go to the body section, change the style and change the background color, and you're going to change the background color to whatever this variable selected color is. Now remember, the selected color is going to be one of the colors from our array up here with whichever index location we've got, which we got from here, which was our maths getting a random number, right? So once we got the random number, we chose which color. So essentially what happens is the user clicks the button, it chooses one of these colors at random from the array, and the background color should change based on this style down here. Okay, so let's have a go at it. Let's see how we go and see if it runs. Let's just make sure the script is closed, the body's closed, the HTML is closed. Let's go File, oops. Let's go File, on Finder, File, Save. So we're going to save that file. I'll double click at the colors HTML. I'll bring it over here. So here's my page. At the moment it's white. I haven't clicked the button yet. If I click the button, it'll change to one of these random colors. So let's do it. There we go. It's purple. That's the orange, I think. Green, orange, blue, red, green. Maybe the yellow and the orange might be pretty similar. Oh no, there's the yellow. See, the yellow is much brighter. So that's it. That's a simple JavaScript program that makes the colors change. Now in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my click counter game. I'm going to expand that out into like a cookie counter to see how we could do that. Obviously you're not going to copy the cookie counter game because that would be copyright, but for the sake of learning how to do the JavaScript, we'll start with this click counter game. So that's it for this video. 2 ways to use JavaScript just with simple clicks, get elements, and this one's got a bit of random and math in it as well, so that's good, different ways to do things.